Welcome, folks. My name is Iain Bryant, and we are embarking on the second episode of Closing Time, so thank you for tuning in. Excited about our guest today, J.P. Kissling from Fidelity Title Co, hailing from Yakima, Washington. Welcome, J.P.
Hey, Iain, thanks for having me.
Boy, would love to hear a little bit about you, J.P., in terms of personal and professional, and kind of set us up with understanding just a little bit at a high level about Fidelity Title Company.
Thank you, Iain. My name is J.P. Kissling. I am the president of Fidelity Title Company. Our company is a fourth generationally owned company. My great-grandfather started the company in 1909 in Sunnyside, Washington. We have been in and around the business here for 116 years, and I have cousins, the Shriners, that spread out and have companies all over the Pacific Northwest. We've been in the valley for a long time. We are the last locally owned agency in our area.
And so, just to get this clear from the outset, your Fidelity Title Company, does it have any affiliation with, that other company we're aware of?
So the offset, we actually were Fidelity Abstract and Title in 1909. So we were here in the state a long time before the large underwriter Fidelity National came into the area. We did underwrite for them for 40 or so years, and found Stewart.
So you're actually, now that it's a competition, but you predate Fidelity. You are the original Fidelity.
I like to think so. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
The name really is important. When you look at the definition of Fidelity, it fits everything we try to do here.
That's neat. That's really neat. So, 116 years. Give me a sense of, just for our viewers, your business mix, size of entity, type of deals you close, that kind of thing.
Sure. We close a lot of commercial, a lot of ag, a lot of residential. That's predominantly the mix. But I think we've really done well and excelled in the commercial side of things. Especially in ag, because we're a large ag area and we've been doing it for so long. Yeah, we have two offices, one in Yakima, Washington, and one in Sunnyside, Washington. Our Sunnyside, Washington is a DBA, and it goes by the name of Shriner Title. That is kind of an homage to my great-grandfather, who, like I said, started the business there, and we've had a very strong sense of community, so we wanted to keep that down there. I've got 24 employees right now. We kind of fluctuate between anywhere from, on the, when 2008 and those kinds of years, we saw 14, 15 employees, and we're back up to 23, 24 right now.
Pretty cool to see your operation. Of course, we're well aware of that, and you have a reputation, but your operation with the level of deep expertise, be able to handle those really significant commercial transactions. So taking a step back, fourth generation, so tell me, growing up, did you always imagine you were going to step into sort of the family business? Or tell me about the path that led you to where you're at.
Sure. I grew up in and around the business, obviously, running around getting silver dollars from my great aunt Yvonne, who ran Shriner Title. At that time, just seeing the people working as a kid was really cool. So I started bothering my father for a job at about the age of 12. And he said, well, let's start you off with pulling some weeds. So I started pulling weeds and mowing the yard at the office. Any little things he had. That was basically kind of my introduction, and then
not inside.
No, outside. Yeah. Then I had to paint the building. Got that done, and then about the age of 15, 14 or 15, I got the ability to, I was allowed to come in and learn how to microfilm old priors, and learned how to put them into sleeves, and from there got into a little customer service, learned how to produce a profile and find deeds and easements through the title plant, which was really interesting. I think trying to figure that all out and understand the systems. So all the way through high school, I'd work every summer. If I wasn't playing sports, I'd have to work after school. And I think that was a really good thing for me, because I think if I had too much time, I probably would have gotten into a little bit of trouble. So, so from there, I got to do a couple examinations before I got out of high school. And then really just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had a passion for fishing and fish, and so I went to school in Sitka, Alaska for salmon. I wanted to be a salmon rancher, working a hatchery and raise salmon and that kind of thing. So I didn't really, I saw the title industry in my future, but had other passions at that time. So I kind of ran away from the title business. Got into college, that kind of didn't go anywhere. So I ended up back in the title business again for a little bit, and then realized that I didn't enjoy it at all, and kind of had fallen out of love with it, and didn't really want to learn anything more from my parents. That was kind of a rebellious stage. So I worked at pizza places. I worked at an engine warehouse. I owned an espresso stand in Auburn, Washington. I owned part of a glass blowing company in Seattle, and just kind of was trying to make ends meet, and got to a point where I realized I hated working 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week at the espresso stand. I got into the engine thing and didn't like the grease in my fingers. So it was a learning experience, right? Learning how to do stuff. And I wanted something that was 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, that I could excel at, that I thought I could be good at. And so I applied for a title company position, a position with Pacific Northwest Title in Seattle at the time, and got hired on in their customer service, and then moved from customer service to locates, which was part of the title plant, where we would locate documents that were hard to put a map and ARB on. Something we had to create for them so it could easily be posted to the title plants. From there, I got moved into examination for PNWT under Terry Nelson, and then was asked to join Unit 10, which was Railroads and Right-of-Ways. And at that point, my father had reached out to me and said, "Can you come back? I want to retire." And so I came back to Fidelity and got stuck in the reception customer service desk again. And had to
literally started at
over.
the most entry level.
Yeah.
And was that intentional by your dad, or?
Yes, it was. Even though I had been in and around the business, there are people that had been at the company for a while, and I had been away for a number of years, and so he felt that it was best for me to start at the bottom and work my way up, and show the people that I can work and that I can do it, and it's just not a nepotism thing.
So how long? So I mean, when your dad called you, you're working at the other title company. You know from day one that the ultimate end here is to take over.
Yeah.
But how long from kind of the first day working the greeting desk till arriving in the position of managing the company? How long did that take? In a couple of different positions?
It was a bit of time. I first started, so it was about 7 years from reception to manager, and that was just managing, production and things like that. And then slowly through a process of about 3 or 4 more years, working closely with my father, learning kind of his role, what he did, and his work in the WLTA and things like that. I slowly started moving into those roles as well. And that's kind of, I would say, he took over, and he got to go do whatever he wanted, probably about 2009 or so, 2009, 2010, somewhere in there.
interact with, as I'm sure you do, many different owners who may have daughters or sons or successors of some kind. Do you think, and everybody, I myself dealt with that, sort of the optics and the perceptions associated with who's coming in and what role and have you earned your stripes and all that. In retrospect, do you think that was the right approach?
I do. Yeah. And it's something that I think we take and we kind of hold dear in our office here is I finding somebody that wants to work for you that has experience. Sometimes they come in and you're having to go through and fix things that they may have learned wrong or not different than the way we do them. So I really enjoy and when we bring people in here, we know that this is something you really don't go to school for. So I like working with new people that don't know a lot about the industry or the company, because we can teach them and mold them and make them into great closers or title officers. And I think that's something that our industry has kind of lost is the training. And so we're really big on training here. We cross train everyone. We try not to compartmentalize as much as possible. Especially in a small market. But yeah, I think training somebody and building them from the ground up is really important in our industry.
And so do you intentionally seek to hire from outside the industry and train from the ground up?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's unique. That's very unique. Actually, let me pause there for a second. You said glass blowing.
Yes.
So did you actually develop that skill?
Yeah, I got to work with a guy, a friend of mine who I went to high school with, and he kind of fell into it, and he got a group of us that were living in Seattle at the time to come down to a glass blowing studio and blow glass with him for a little bit, and we all kind of fell in love with it, and yeah, just started trying to figure out how to make stuff. This is I think the first piece I ever made was this little it's a paperclip holder now. So, but yeah, I fell in love with it. Sadly, when I moved back to Yakima, we have no glass blowing studios here in Yakima. So I switched to lamp working and did lamp working for a number of years as a private hobby. But being able to create something is from nothing is pretty fun.
I don't know if you've seen that Netflix show Blown Away, but
yeah.
My kids and I love watching that. It's just, I mean, that is, anyway, I know we're taking a tangent, but that's pretty cool.
Oh no, it's good.
But you think about that skill set, you think about, whether it was the espresso stand or time elsewhere, what were the things that, as you reflect back on what may be described as a circuitous route to managing a title company, were there any experiences, exposures, things you learned, call it outside the industry, prior to stepping back in to the family company that you think have helped you? So maybe not a route that is something that would be laid out by a guidance counselor, right? But you took that route, you sit where you are. Did you learn anything in particular from those experiences or exposures?
I think I learned a lot about myself and what I didn't want to do.
Huh.
I also learned a lot about people. You get to, in these different industries, you see how people want different things. If it's a coffee, everybody's different. Everybody, could have a bad day or a good day, and just getting to know those people, I think was really important. And building it, I think it taught me that whatever I was doing, whether it was sales or something artistic, is that the people matter. The people that you work with matter, and I think that's the most important thing that I brought out of all of that.
And to your point, you lived in different places, experienced different things, understanding people can be and should be different, right? And how you interact with them and build trust and rapport, and whether that's your employees or whether that's the consumers, right, you serve.
Right.
Very important. Yeah. I wonder, as you think about, obviously you've done, and gosh, of course, the history of your company, thousands and thousands of closings, right? Fidelity Title Company has accomplished. But tell me about your most memorable closing, or what matters most to you as you think about that experience for the consumer.
Okay. I don't know if I have a most memorable closing, but I know that we've had some really interesting closings. We've closed private hydroelectric dams. We've got to do wind farms and solar farms, and the large ag transactions that span 5 counties and are hundreds of millions of dollars, with all these personal property farm equipment transfers. Those are really interesting, and they're technical, and they really make you think. But I think when I break it down, I think the most important and fun closings that I enjoy the most are probably when you got a first-time home buyer buying a house. And I think it's because they're finally getting that ability to have their own home, and it kind of takes it on a it's interesting. Like, the best way I could explain it is George Washington, I think, said it best. Property rights and freedom are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. And so when you finally are able to purchase a piece of property and own your own land, we finally find the American dream of being free. And so to me, that is kind of the neat part, that they can start building wealth for their families, and things like that. So getting into a home as a first-time home buyer is probably my favorite thing to see.
That's neat. I love your reference to George Washington there, and it makes me think. No secret that our industry, both recent and historic, at times is misunderstood, right? And as such, I think has come under what I would describe sometimes as unfair questioning, right? As to what we do and the value we create. Maybe just react to that a little bit as you think about the context of where you've found the most fulfillment in terms of those first-time home buyers, and part of that human soul, which is to own a piece of land, right? I think that's just part of us, right, as human beings. But maybe expand a little bit on how you think we should be telling our story, right, as title company owners and employees, and the value we really bring.
Yeah. I've been teaching first-time homebuyer classes for probably the last 15 years, and being involved in my state association as a past president, and current legislative co-chair for legislative. I get to work with a lot of people and see a lot of misunderstanding of what we do. It's one of the favorite things I like to ask at the beginning of a first-time homebuyer class is, what is title insurance? Do anybody here know what we do? And a lot of people really don't know. We go sign papers at your office, and I enjoy kind of explaining to them that when they're buying property, it's something that comes with we've all heard the bundle of sticks, right? The bundle of sticks, those rights. But a lot of people don't associate those rights, like that's not the first thing they think about, because if you talk to any attorney, property rights are boring. They hated that part of law school. But those rights are important. And back before title insurance was around, we were abstractors, and those abstractors, as abstractors, we would go and we would research the title, and we would provide basically an abstract to an attorney, and that attorney would write an opinion. But there was no real teeth if something was missed, right? So when you look at a buyer or a lender or people like that who get title insurance, they're basically, if we didn't have title insurance and a right was missed, have people that are taking their most valuable asset, their biggest purchase of their life, and we don't know where those rights are, whether it's a lien right from a previous owner, or it's a problem with the fee as far as a cloud on ownership. And so when we look at those things, that makes housing or buying land or borrowing or giving money to somebody a bad investment if we don't know where those rights are. And so what we do when we research back to where the government first patented the land of the first buyer, and we write our commitment to ensure that we're locating those rights. We're eliminating that risk. That's part of our job, is to eliminate the risk. So we're not like all the other insurance people. And I think being able to explain to people that we make a bad investment a good investment is a way that is, I would like to see the industry move forward to explaining title insurance, because I don't think that our industry has done a great job. And even with we're finding that we have to educate our regulators, and other and our people in state governments, because nobody really knows what we do. It's just kind of been one of those things where it's hard to explain.
That's right. But I think, to your point, our proactivity in that has always been important, but is more important than ever now, So, well, man, the time goes fast here, JP, as we hear your story, and it's fascinating. I wonder, though, as you think about the future, where do you want to see kind of Fidelity Title Company's journey continue or go, or what's your vision for the future there for your organization?
Yeah, well, as long as I'm here, I want to continue to get out there and help people get into homes, and work with new realtors and new lenders out there, to kind of help them understand what we do and make them better at what they do. I'm not sure where this will go after me. I'd love to see it be a fifth generation company. I do have some cousins, like I said earlier, out there that might be interested in this someday. I have a sister who's my partner, and she has a couple of daughters, and maybe they'll want to do it someday. But nobody can tell you exactly what's going to happen in the future.
That's right.
So we'll see what happens. I really would like to see the agency stay going. I think that if we lose our agencies in our states that are agency states, it could have an effect on the industry as far as the associations and things like that. So I'd like to see us around for another 116 years, but
I love it.
I won't be around to see that. So
well, you should be so very proud, right, to be a fourth generation in the business. 116 years. It's quite a legacy, and it's really cool that you've been such an integral part of carrying that forward. And frankly, from an underwriter standpoint, it's a privilege to be able to underwrite you guys, and it's yours is a really cool story, and one that plays out in many counties, right, all across the country. And that this is the backbone of agile service, right, to the industry, or these independent agents. So you have a lot to be proud of. Thank you again, JP, for taking the time with us today, and appreciate our partnership so much, and excited to see you all continue successfully in the years to come.
Great. Hey, thank you, Iain. You guys have been kind of a breath of fresh air, and being a newer agent with you guys, I've got to work with Stewart outside of being an agent, and meeting some of the amazing people that work there, and it's I really look forward to a long good relationship with you guys. So thank you.
Well, this concludes our time together on Closing Time. I'm your host, Iain Bryant. JP, thank you so much for sharing your journey with myself and our listeners. We'll see you next time.